Welcome to the Health Fix podcast, where health junkies get their weekly fix of tips, tools, and techniques to have limitless energy, sharp minds, and fit physiques for life. Hey, health junkies. On this episode of the Health Fix podcast, I'm interviewing Dr. Brianne Grogan. She's a doctor of physical therapy and a pelvic floor physical therapy specialist, and she's a friend of mine. And today we're going to be talking all about my experience with her one-on-one experience at the Healing House in Central Oregon. It is her labor of love that's come together after many, many, many years. And oh my gosh, we go deep. We go deep on a lot of different things that came out as a result of our podcast together. Because when you have time with someone one-on-one, you have a great ability to unlock a lot of things that you never knew were holding you back in your health, but you also have the ability to transform. Literally, I felt like I came out of the Healing House as a different person. And I don't say that lightly. I have been dealing with pain for a long time. I never really realized that it had been with me since I was 11 years old and fell ice skating while I did a jump and my toe pick hit wrong and I just fell over pretty hard. And, it wasn't a big deal because I fell a lot ice skating. But after that experience, I started to have weird pelvic pain. And at 11 years old, you can't really explain those sorts of things. And just coincidentally, my period started, I believe, within a month, couple weeks after falling. And from then on, it was labeled as being a hormonal thing because, yes, it did get worse when I had my period. And I guess because I really didn't have the tools to explain anything, and my mom wasn't at that ice skating training to see me fall, and I don't think my coach would have thought about it because it just wasn't something that we were talking about back then. And so fast forward 3 decades plus, I have had a lot of pelvic pain. It kept me from enjoying a lot of things that some of us enjoy in life. And also, I think it did contribute to why I don't have children. So many things. And that has a lot of emotions and things wrapped up in it. While Dr. Bree and I start this podcast out really light, we do dive into some seriously deep things. Now, if you haven't heard of the 1982 Austrian tongue singing situation, we dive into it at first because using your tongue is a great way to reset your nervous system. And I was taught by Kate Northrup multiple different resets where you can take your tongue and one called tongue cleaning, where you're like rubbing your tongue on the front of your teeth. And if you're watching YouTube, you can see it. If you're listening to this, it might be a little weird to imagine, but I'm doing a demo of it right now. So for those of you that just heard that is me with my lips closed and me running my tongue over my teeth in a clockwise direction. And the idea is to do that 6 times, and that resets your nervous system. But the whole concept of the Austrian tongue singing group, and who knows if this is real or not, I don't know with AI, who knows? It's hard to fathom that this would be a thing, but maybe it is. I don't know anyone who is Tyrolean or Austrian, so if someone is and can verify this for us, I would love to hear about it, because these folks probably have really solid nervous systems, because the idea is that they are literally vibrating with their tongues. They're moving their tongues inside their mouth to sing. And I think that would be an incredible way to reset the vagus nerve. All joking aside, seriously, I think it's good. Not only that, for the laughter that you get from it. So you will hear Dr. Bree and I give you a little demo here. I can't wait for you guys to listen to this podcast. If you've been listening to me for a while, you'll hear some things you've probably never heard before out of my mouth in terms of things that have happened and what happened with this experience at Dr. Bree's Healing House. So let's just dive into it. I'm excited to reintroduce you to my friend, Dr. Brianne Grogan. Brianne Grogan, welcome to the Health Fix podcast.
Thank you so much, my friend. I am so overjoyed to be with you again right now.
Oh my gosh. We have to just tell a secret. Like, if you have not seen this amazing thing called tongue singing, Dr. Bree just introduced it to me, and I feel like it's the most amazing thing ever. So you guys got to listen for a second. It sounds like this. You're so good at it. You guys, so like maybe you did that when you were 5. I don't know, because I'm pretty sure I did.
Did. Yeah.
The best part about it is, though, if you do it long enough, you cannot help but laugh. And so if you do that, what's the benefit of laughing, Bree? What kind of benefits do we get for our health if we
Oh
laugh
my
our
goodness.
butts off?
Hormonal benefits, abdominal strengthening benefits, diaphragm and pelvic floor strengthening benefits. Besides, it's just the best thing ever. So yeah, check out tongue singing. It's so good.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
So
There
good.
are sponsors for this podcast.
Yeah, truly the 1982 Austrian tongue singers band.
Oh my God. We'll link that in the show notes, guys, just in case you're like, what in the heck are they talking about? It's like you just can't help but laugh. So if you need a good laugh, we hope that you found one. And then we're going to hope to give you some good laughs today because we're going to be talking about my experience at the Healing House with Dr. Bree. Because, oh my gosh, the transformations that are coming out of your Healing House that I've seen, Bree, like awesome stuff. Like, whoa.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a long time, really work in progress. I mean, this is my life's work. I've been doing the work of pelvic health and women's wellness for almost 20 years. Well, no, 20 years. And I feel like it's finally come to where I always wanted it to be. And I'm just so grateful that you are allowing me to share more about it. And we're talking about it today. So thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. Because one of the things that both the two of us kind of came to realize after, I would say, I don't know, for me, it was like after going virtual for a while after COVID and going back and forth to Tacoma, I realized how much I really missed seeing people in person and how much I really missed having bodywork time with folks and doing needles and doing all that. And you were like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I had been virtual for probably 15 years. I don't know. I might get my years wrong, but I was primarily virtual for many years because my family and I lived overseas and I developed an online business. And I'm very grateful for what I was able to do because of tech. When we moved back to our home state of Oregon, I thought I have got to get my hands on people again. I need that personal touch. And I feel like personally, as the world becomes more tech heavy and AI heavy and all of these things that really are separating us in so many ways, separating us from each other, separating us from ourselves, I'm like, I feel that in some ways, these are our modern day predators, is like technology and the separation from self and community and from hands on our own bodies, hands on other people's bodies, hands on care. And so to me, this is just like, it's balm. It's balm for myself. It's balm for the women I serve. And yeah, it's really powerful work. And I definitely see the parallels between your career path and mine.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, it's so funny. Like we both went virtual. Obviously you were an early adopter as the cool kids say. Me, I kind of came late on it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I crave more than anything time with my folks. And when, you gave me the opportunity to come in and do some hands-on work with you at your healing house, I was like, oh my God, yes, sign me up. Because, a lot of folks, when they think about transformation and getting that transformation, we've got all these like programs online and you have your own, and it's like, okay, there's just something missing.
Yeah.
When we don't connect one-on-one, but also when we don't leave our house to do the things.
Yes.
To that.
Absolutely. And excuse me, all that tongue singing that we were doing before we started recording and all that laughter gave me a little frog in my throat. Yes, I can speak to the power of leaving your home and really immersing yourself. I consider any type of retreat a portal, like truly a portal for transformation, because when you take yourself out of your day-to-day experience, and you have a reason to kind of we have to interrupt things, right? Like we have these beautiful neural pathways in our brain and body that are like these well-worn ruts of what we do day in, day out, who we interact with, what we do, what we have to do, our chores, our tasks, etc., and just our environment that we're used to. And so to really make a shift and create new neural pathways, I think if you can, it is so powerful to literally remove yourself from your regular day-to-day life experience and go somewhere entirely new that might be totally out of your comfort zone and might actually be kind of like, oh my gosh, what the heck is this? But basically it gives your brain a chance to be like, whoa, wide open. We are going to open things up. We're going to open new pathways, and we're really going to soak it in. Because when you're in that new environment, whether it's and I strive to make my environment extremely safe and supportive, but even so, it's a new environment and you're aware, like you're looking around, you're figuring it out. You're like, okay, this is new. It's just like you're a sponge soaking up the new things, and it really helps you be even more ripe for that transformation. And just being out of your day-to-day responsibilities and tasks and obligations and people asking you to do certain things or chores or whatever, it just gives you that chance to focus only on you. And then when you return home, you are that much stronger and more lit up and more full. Like, that old saying about the fuller your cup is, the more it can run over and help others. But you got to get to that place where you can really fill that cup.
Agree. I agree. And I think that's why people love vacations, right? Because, we get away from the norm, we get to explore new things. But one of the things I find with vacations is so many people will be like, oh my God, my vacation was great, but I don't feel rejuvenated. I don't
No.
feel like maybe they went to a new place and they had to see every tourist spot, right? Or they went to Vegas and that's like you need a vacation from Vegas if you're going to, I don't think anyone really goes there thinking they're going to restore themselves. But nevertheless, sometimes, we just think if I get away, it's going to be better. And I just love this concept. And it's been something that's been in my mind for a long time is transformation travel. And I looked online and there's actually companies that have these names. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not the weird one thinking that travel should come with not all the time, but we could turn it into a transformation.
Yeah, I love that. And transformation travel, I have had my most transformational personal growth experience. And I mean, first of all, let me caveat this by saying, like, yes, it's a privilege. It's obviously a privilege to be able to have the experiences where you can travel and go somewhere and have that transformation. And of course, not everyone does. And if you do have the ability and the time and the energy and the means to travel, and with the intention of like opening your to new experiences and possibilities, and my tip and trick for making it the most transformational is to build in time to integrate the experiences that you're having. So that means downtime. Integrate white space, integrate not constant going, seeing, sightseeing, socializing. I mean, it's beautiful to travel with a partner. I mean, goodness knows vacation sex is the best sex, right?
That's where people get pregnant usually. When I've worked on fertility,
So, I mean, great to travel with a partner, but I do find, or with friends, but I do find that solo travel for me and my personal journey has been the most transformational. And partly because, like that awareness I was talking about earlier, you really have to be, especially if you're maybe finding your way around in a new town or city, like you have to really have your eyes open and be aware and figure out directions, figure out where you're doing, be aware of your safety and your surroundings. But I like to make sure that, especially when I'm alone, I'm not filling in every space with things to do. I'm giving myself downtime so I can truly integrate all that I've learned, all that I've experienced, all that I've grown into quiet. It just makes all the difference.
I agree. I agree. And I think, that is something missing and people don't think about it, right? Because they're like trying to sandwich trips in between. I got to be to work on Monday and, and the kids have to do this on Saturday. So I need to, maximize the time. And I'm guessing because you also run retreats, like you guys have that great one up on Salt Spring and then you unfortunately with Mexico weren't able to go, but do you tend to kind of tell folks when they're prepping for any of your retreats and even coming to your house, do you tend to tell them like, hey, maybe give a day forward, backward?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, definitely there's downtime built into the group retreats that I've run where, free time, where we're not packing the schedule with workshop after workshop after workshop. There's free time. But for my personal retreat, what, you came and experienced at my home. And when I have people traveling from out of town that are doing my full experience, which is several days long, they're staying overnight. And so I'm working with them for 8 hours during the day. So for 8 hours, we're together. We are like, full on in person together. But then afterwards, they have from basically dinner on their own. So I give them dinner, but I say, please just eat in peace. And please, I encourage you to not be on your phone, to not be working as much as possible. Of course, we can make sure our family is safe or check in on things we have to, but for the most part, use this time, like really take it seriously and use this time for quiet, to use some of the wellness tools that I have, to go on a walk outside in nature, just to be quiet. Take it seriously. You're investing in this. You might as well get the most out of it. Don't go spread yourself thin. I call it like the massage or the parking lot effect. Like when you go and get a massage or a wellness treatment and then you feel amazing, but then you get in your car and you immediately have to hit traffic and leave and like dodge traffic, and you're listening to podcasts and you're calling answering a phone call from your kid or whatever it may be. It's like all the goodness that you just experienced, it kind of goes out the window. And I don't want that for anybody who's going to invest their time and take the time and spend the money to come work with me. It's like, if you can, let's try to just integrate in quiet as much as possible.
So huge. So huge. When I was doing a lot more acupuncture in Tacoma, I actually wrote a book with a friend. It was called it is called What's Up with Acupuncture. And our biggest thing was always talking about like the pre and post, like don't back to back up your schedule, like don't jump right back into traffic, those kind of things. And so going somewhere, I think just almost lends to making the more ability to have a deeper type of transformation. And what I noticed, because I came down to Central Oregon by myself and spent some days poking around before I got to your house and then hung out, I found that, yeah, compared to any other trip I've had, I relaxed quite deeply.
Yeah.
Quite deeply.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you relax, when you truly give your nervous system the chance to unwind and settle, that's when the healing happens. Like that's when the learning happens. That's when the wires are able to reconnect and new pathways are able to form, all these good things. But that's where the healing happens, is in that unwound space where we're not braced and stressed and going and doing all the things.
So crazy.
On a really micro level, even for anyone listening right now who may like do a Zoom call that's like a coaching call with someone, I always encourage people who take part in my like online coaching calls or something, hey, take 3 minutes even after this call. And before you have to transition to the next thing in life, just be still, just breathe, just lay down on the floor, just do something to like, relax. Because again, you learn best. It's like you can actually incorporate everything you just learned, everything we talked about, everything that was landing, it can actually land fully in your body. And so I love that you coming and seeing me and having that beautiful time together, and you were able to truly unwind. And I know you told me, I was so grateful to hear that your results have lasted, like your positive results have stayed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The only like pain I have had, and I know where it came from since I've seen you, because guys, I have pelvic floor stuff. A lot of us do. In particular, I have this one like right side deep hip. What did we decide it was? It was like what was it? It was, I forget now. Gosh.
The deep, well, oh my gosh, there was a lot going on, but I believe we worked on your obturator, didn't we? Didn't we do,
Yes,
yeah.
that and sacrotuberous, I remember. I think.
That's where, yeah, right. Yeah. And sacrotuberous. Yep. Exactly.
Ligament.
Yeah.
And so those two, and so for you guys that are like, what are those? Those are deep, deep pelvic muscle. And then the other one, the sacrotuberous, is a ligament. But what I found, okay, so I came out of working with you. I, went right into a week of seeing folks in Tacoma. Everything was great. No pain, no pain. And sometimes I get pain when I do a decent amount of body work. The only time something flared when I was shoveling 2.5 feet of heavy darn snow when we had our blizzard. And that was
That'll,
higher up tweak. It wasn't my back. It was like T7,
oh,
T9 area. And so
great.
it was because of, and now it doesn't hurt. I'm fine.
Great.
I was carrying buckets of sap. No joke, like the day after I tweaked myself, carrying buckets of sap through a couple feet of snow. Normally that would have like trashed me. I hurt for like a day after that. But before, with my disc injury, I would have been out for like weeks. I
Yeah.
was better in like probably 48 hours. I was completely better. Yeah.
That is amazing. And I know that you described pain in the lumbar area, the pelvic area, down your leg. It was all of these lower area pains, pains with sitting, pains with driving, again, body work, extended periods of time of body work, things like that. And so it's incredible that hasn't come back, but it makes sense. I mean, the thing is, when we go on any healing journey and work with someone and maybe have great results, we still have to live life and things still happen and we'll still have our ups and downs. But I love that the pain was in a different place. It didn't scare you and you were able to recover and move through it and just kind of get back on with life. It resolved. It resolved that thoracic pain after all that hard work you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, where I'm looking at and coming from, and what I want folks to hear is that when you have chronic pain in your body, and it's been something that's been around since I had that disc injury, okay, whatever, it happened. And you start to like think that you're never going to get rid of it. And I had some work done with a good friend of mine in Tacoma who was doing the electrical, the radio frequency, there we go,
Mhm.
one, and that had helped me quite a bit, and it lasted quite a while. But before I was seeing you, I had probably about a 3-month stint where I really was starting to flare again with the pain. And of course, there were some emotional things going on with trying to figure out career and what to do next. And so, what I think also helped is what I'd like to call the exorcism
Yes.
that happened when we
Yes.
were working together. So I
Yes.
want you to kind of help me share that story because I can't so yeah, you tell them what you were doing and how we were working on my pelvic floor, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just so honored. I always am. Anytime I work with a person, I am not doing the work. I am just listening to their body. Like, I mean, yes, I have my hands on the body. I am doing the work, but it's me just listening. The person's body is leading the way. I'm just responding to wherever I need to go next. And Janine, I know you know this. This is the way you do your work too. And I think any good body worker and someone who helps people with their bodies knows to listen. The client is in charge, right? It's like client led. And that doesn't mean that you're sitting there talking to me and saying, go here next. It means in quiet, in silence, my hands are able to sense where your body needs support. And so I actually remember, and Janine, you said that I could share things that I remember and there's no
Absolutely.
secrets.
Absolutely. It's so good. Tell people, please. It's
Right,
fun.
yeah. I mean, there were several spots where it was really interesting because you were very able to sense when I would stop on an area that I noticed needed support. The feedback was awesome because you were like, "Oh my god, whoa." You identified colors. You identified images. You identified things that were coming up and you were like, "What the heck is this white dog in my calf? What is this?" And so it was really neat because we don't talk about as client caregiver relationship together. We didn't talk about the stories. We didn't go into the stories and the history and could it be this? And we didn't go into the mind. We simply let the body let it be there. Let that white dog be there. And if any messages came through, we let them come through, but without going into story. So it was really cool. There was white dogs in your calf. There was a knife in your low back. There were different things that we worked on up the back body. There was a lot in your back body. So the calves, the glutes, the inner thighs. So that's what I want to share. We'll share that.
Let's
So
do it.
the inner thighs, the adductors, were extremely tender and tight as a bowstring. They were so, so tight. And so I knew with my touch, my listening touch, that there was something here. And so I believe it was the inner thighs that the exorcism
Yep.
came. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yep. That provoked.
that was there. So my fingertips were gently touching the inner thigh area and gently exploring what emotional things might be held there because I knew it was more than just like tight muscles from needing to stretch more. There was something deeper. And all of a sudden, this exorcism took place, and we call it that lightly. So we hope we're not offending anyone by this, but it was interesting because Janine really came in contact with a deep, deep memory from her childhood. And maybe I'll let you take over from here because I don't want to overshare.
It's cool. Yeah. So my inner thighs were really I could feel it when you were holding on. I was like, "Woo, okay, that pressure is something." And like instantly I got a memory back to being 16 years old. And my mom was super Catholic. I'm not super Catholic. And, I had boyfriends. And in particular, my mom was really upset about me and a boyfriend making out. And she kind of called me a whore. And all of the exorcism came out with me being like, "Whore" is what came to my mind.
Horror. And I mean that word, like horror. And it was interesting because I really encourage people to, again, we're not chit-chatting. I always make that really clear. We're not here to chit-chat. However, I very much encourage the use of sound. In fact, all of my ceremonies, my day-long ceremonies with people, I call them they're ceremonies with the body. I always bring in movement to kind of get the energy moving, get you ready for 4 to 6 hours of body work on the table. So we do a little movement, we do some breath, and with the breath, I encourage sounding, like making sounds, like sighing,
Mhm.
moaning, whatever it may be. And so Janine knew that I encourage sounds. I want sounds to come. And the horror came out and it was sad. Like at first there was sadness and there was pain and there was a lot of emotion. And so we just encouraged this sound to kind of come out. And pretty soon there was a lot of sounding, there was a lot of toning, a lot of emotion running through and moving through. And she had no idea that was stuck in there. No clue. She hadn't even thought of that in years. But as we moved it, her muscles started to soften and everything started to relax. And then honestly, by the end, she was laughing. She was saying, whore, and she was laughing, partially because we have a friendship and a relationship. I was, we were laughing
Funny.
together. And it was actually such a beautiful like resolution to see it move from something you hadn't thought of in years to like feeling the intensity of the emotion and the depth and then allowing the movement of it and the seeing it, like not just shoving it under the rug, not pretending it's not there, but actually going there and being with it. And then pretty soon, like you can almost see like just kind of like the funniness. It's not funny, but like you can kind of see the different sides, like all that you've learned, all that you've grown through, all that, you now are. And you don't believe you're a whore because you were making out with your 16-year-old boyfriend. Like, it was such a cool resolution. And then to see your body respond as well. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny to think about it, right? Because you're like, interesting that it would sound like that. I would say that, and then I would laugh about it because I
Right.
think, nobody wants their parents to see them as a whore, right? Nobody wants that. But, with a very strict Catholic upbringing, it makes sense of how that would go. And we talked about, and this is something that I really wanted to share, is that I think a lot of women, their sexuality has been kind of suppressed because of what happened in childhood, depending on the parents a little bit. And, my mom did the best she could with what she had it is what it is. But it definitely created a lot of tension in my pelvic area. As I got older, it kind of created this like fear of I have sex, I'm gonna be a whore kind of thing, like, and so it sticks in your head, even though you don't consciously always think about it. But that experience had me thinking, is this why I hold my tension in my pelvis? Because since I was, 16 and I had hormones and I had feelings about boys and, did it translate and carry all this way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yes, absolutely. And this is going on for so many women in their own way, in different versions, different things contribute. And I mean, one thing that stands out for your personal story and that journey is, I mean, it's like you better damn well hold back from what you desire, hold
Yes.
from your desires. Your desires are not okay. They're not okay. You better, you better not do that.
Mhm.
That's bad, you know? And I think many people can probably relate to something from their childhood or past when they were doing something that lit them that like you're moving towards something and you're shut down from often very well-meaning parents or whoever it may be, but it literally causes us to clamp up and brace up. And even in very subtle ways that can follow us for years, if not our entire life. I see it again and again.
And that's what I suspected that you would see. Not only that, obviously abuse is a whole different situation. There's all kinds of different stories, but the translation of holding back, you know, just sexually, but also emotionally, physically, and even in your career, you name it. I think it can translate to everything because of the area. Let's talk about the chakras. Let's talk
Uh-huh.
about what that means in the pelvic floor and safety and all of those things. So I think a lot of folks have an idea of chakras, have an idea that these are energy centers, but they don't really realize like how it could be manifesting in other areas of their life too.
Yeah. I mean, I love talking about the chakra system. So the pelvic floor area, we're talking really about our first and second chakras. And even bringing in the third, the power center, the Manipura, the like sense of power and identity and who you are. But really that first root base chakra is all about safety and security and family, tribe, sense of place, sense of okayness, sense of belonging. And so for you, and we'll just keep going back to that story since we've shared it, your mother, I mean, if she's calling you a whore and misguided or not, you know,
Right.
but if she's saying that to you, then if I don't belong to my family, if I'm being outcast as something I don't want to be seen as by my closest family, that is a severe trauma to your root chakra. And that is really impacting your perineum, your deep pelvic muscles, your anus, those deep, deep muscles of your deep, deep pelvic area. So that would be root chakra safety. And then your second chakra is really this watery, like creativity, sensuality, sexual expression, not just sexual though, just literally creativity. We have our reproductive area. We have in the bladder is even in here too, like water, like emotions. And so again, going back to your story, wow, it's like you're 16, your hormones are on fire, you're lit up by your boyfriend. It's like, woof, I'm feeling these like sparks and, whatever great feelings coming online and whoop, shut down because I'm a whore. And so it's like shutting down that energy center of your womb, your reproductive space, your pelvic space. It's all wrapped together. I think we can get too. Personally, I'm never a big fan of isolating certain body parts, certainly. I mean, it's all connected, but even the chakra system can be taken a bit extreme sometimes when we try to separate it. So specifically, I mean, it all kind of blends together, but that's really what we're talking about there. And then when you think about your throat chakra, the center of expression, this is also very, very connected to these lower chakra areas. So we have our throat chakra, which is expressed in how we express ourselves in the world. And we can birth things from our lower chakras, and we birth things like ideas, sounds, speech, expression from our throat chakra. And when we are feeling unsafe, these are all areas that get braced, clenched, shut down, right? And so we may find ourselves when we're older not expressing our truth, not being able to speak our truth, not being able to change career path if we want to,
Right.
because, because we're terrified that we're going to be called out by somebody or that we're not good enough or we're not qualified or whatever. Like we don't deserve to be seen or expressed in certain ways. It's not safe. They're so, so connected. And so really opening and reclaiming these parts of ourselves that were lost or shut down from events from the past. It's not that we need to go dig into all the stories and like do deep psychological work on it. It's just that our body does hold onto things and our body holds the medicine too. Our body can hold the medicine of being able to see and acknowledge and release these things, which literally can help you express and find your truth and your voice too. Like it's so cool to see these connections form and the impact of doing the body work, how it impacts and ripples out into so many different areas of people's lives. All of a sudden, they're able to speak their truth in their relationships or change their career if they were desiring to. And all of a sudden, it's like, no, I'm done doing that thing I felt like I had to keep doing to keep everyone else happy. No, I'm ready to pivot or whatever it may be. It's so, so interesting.
My gosh, you said one thing that if I just can't, hold back. I always have to say something about is the body holds the medicine.
Yes.
We are in a place where I think a lot of people are waking up, but we're still not there yet. Let's talk about the body holding the medicine and the solution and looking within and having folks like yourself, myself to help with guiding folks to their own medicine because it's
Yeah.
so crazy right now. Like I'll have people coming to me like, I just saw this XYZ supplement, or even the peptides too, stuff I work with, the hormones. And they're looking at it as like, that's going to be my solution.
Right.
And I'm always like,
Yeah. Right. Right. Constant outsourcing when really what we need is to insource. And I get it because there's so much information and it can be overwhelming, and we weren't really conditioned to believe in ourselves. We were conditioned as humans in modern society to hand over our power to the teachers, to the doctors, to the clergy, or whatever it may be, to our parents, to other people. And there haven't been a lot of, we've lost a lot of listening to ourselves, which I believe, and of course I didn't live thousands of years ago, but I do believe that the ancient people, our ancestors, they learned everything they learned by being in quiet, being in stillness, observing nature, observing themselves, maybe observing others around them, but it wasn't necessarily asking Google or seeing what ads are popping up on your Instagram feed for what you need. Because yes, it's targeted. And yes, they're going to sell you every anti-aging cream once you click on one. It's like they weren't having that constant barrage of information. And so they were insourcing. They were insourcing, not outsourcing. And I believe we've lost that. And I think that, about the body holds the medicine, I love that line. It's so powerful because there's that book, that wonderful book called The Body Keeps the Score, which is a fantastic book. But I think that it can lead to a bit of doomsday, like, oh my gosh, the body keeps the score. It holds on to things. I'm doomed. Like every trauma I've had, every little t and big T trauma, it's stuck in my body. Oh my gosh, the body holds on to it all. And it's important to acknowledge that the body does hold on, and the body has the medicine. The body can't, the body's always wanted to come back into balance, and it's only holding on because the story's unresolved or it wants to protect you. But you can do so much to move those stories through and to find that medicine and that magic within. So yeah, going back to this idea of like insourcing and the power of that, I actually wrote down something this morning because I had this thing that happened yesterday. Maybe
yeah,
this is the time to share this story. It's just fresh in my mind because
tell
it
us,
just
tell
happened.
us.
Yeah, so it's so weird. So I have a YouTube channel, and I just started a new YouTube channel, a little baby YouTube channel that's a new one. It's very fresh, and I love all my subscribers. Everyone's really sweet, and I only have had kind comments from loving people so far, but I saw on my comments, because I kind of monitor them, and I saw one come through that said, oh my gosh, I wonder if I could pull it up. It's actually kind of worth pulling up.
You should
Uh,
do it.
I'm gonna pull it up. It was intense. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm pulling it out of my trash because I did trash it. Okay, teen commented, "You purposely record in low resolution so no one can see the wrinkles on your skin, but I do." And then second comment is, "You are deluded and crazy. You look like a typical middle-aged woman when it comes to your face, aged and wrinkled." Oh, okay. I read that, and honestly, it shook me because I'm like, didn't even pertain to the video. The video was mirror work, like a self-love practice, where I'm sitting in front of a mirror, and I don't film in low resolution, and I'm not trying to
I
hide.
don't even know how.
I wouldn't even know how either. I'm like, I don't know. But I didn't actually, it didn't really hurt my feelings more than it shook me that a woman would say that to me, that someone would say that to me, and that aging is such a thing, that people are saying things about aging, and that this is perpetuating the fears of aging. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it shook me in that way. It also made me think this poor person is obviously hurting to write something like that. But on another level, when I did, my husband, actually, I showed him this and he did a little digging. Turns out this person is not, it's a dude. It was a dude. It was a man. So it was a man who had a couple weird videos on his channel. It was some guy who had a profile photo of a young lady and then had written this comment, but it was a guy. And then we started thinking even deeper, because then that brought up a lot of things like, oh, patriarchy, and like this man, and he's saying these things and he's trying to pit women against women. And like it brought up a lot of thoughts and feelings. And then we went even deeper, and I thought, this man might have been taken over. His account might have been hacked by somebody. And now that the hacked account is going out, and essentially it's a bot that's
Yes.
probably saying these same things to a bunch of different accounts. Like, at this point, my soul was really like, this is so interesting because this is the predator. This is the predator of modern society that we're all dealing with in different ways. From, watching what we say because of cancel culture, or, not wanting to get trolls on the internet saying things to you, to the fact that cybersecurity is an issue and people are getting hacked, and then the bots and AI and all these different things that are so hard to control. And then the overconsumption of media and the constant, as we were just saying earlier, like the constant stimulation of information and advice and stuff coming from external sources. It's like, for all of this, these modern predators that I'm sorry, I don't think we can escape it. It's the modern day tiger, And I do think the remedy for all of it is going within, like learning to stabilize yourself through all of this, learning to feel into your body, into your bones, like get wide in your hips. Take a deep breath, soften a part of your body when you're like amped up, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe someone said this, or gosh, information overload, or what do? I don't know the right answer. Go within, like find the magic within. And this is what we need to learn to do. I just think this is modern medicine, is teaching people how to protect themselves from modern day predators and how to go within.
So huge. So huge. Because what you said about the troll, I mean, some of the stuff is ridiculous. Like, yeah. And I know that, like, because we're putting ourselves out there, we'll get more, but I wonder how many people get it on just their basic stuff. And I mean, how hurtful. But not only that, like, you found a troll. There are actual people that will comment when they think something you say is stupid, or they'll comment on, like, I would actually do it this way, and whatnot too. And it's like, I think one of the, the biggest thing that I want folks to really understand, and this could be something that happens in your life, something like your kids say something, that can be kind of hurtful, or a friend or whatnot. We need to go insource and be like, okay, do I need to respond to this right now? Can I do a little check-in? I've had to, things get said a lot, especially when, and you've probably experienced this, when people don't get results from what you do. And, I've had a couple instances where I've had some patients who have just like went on YouTube, not YouTube, on like Yelp and, Google, and just smeared the daylights out of me. And it was like, and it's like a stab to your heart a little bit, because you're like, wait, I really was trying to help you. And I'm sorry that you didn't get the results that you were looking for. And so, that's our practitioner view. But I think this happens so much in life right now that a lot of people are just reeling from different things that have been said, done, whatever. And it can go back to, how does this manifest in our body? And how do we let this go?
How do we let this go? And I think that, to me, the most powerful ways, and what I share with my clients and what I do in the experience when I work with people, I call it the experience, when people come
Yes.
to my home and I work with them, and I help them connect to their own body, to their own magic. And that's through the extended periods of, again, their body is leading the way in my sessions, and they know that, they can feel that. And so for them, that starts to develop that trust and that knowing and that relationship with themselves. And so that allows you to be able to withstand this type of thing. It also gives you a felt sense of your nervous system finally feeling safe and unwinding and letting go. And that takes time. It doesn't usually happen, unfortunately, in like a 45-minute or even an hour-long session. I mean, it can, but to really have it last, I have found that I think the longer we can have with our clients, the better, the more powerful, and then that integration time afterwards. And so that's one way to help. Also, as we were talking at the very beginning about hands-on in-person care, is that it's different from like receiving this type of relaxation and self-knowledge through an online program or through a book or through a TikTok video or what have you. It's different when you have a connection, an in-person, real life connection with a human. Because I believe, again, this modern day predator idea is this disconnection is literally creating a loss of humanity, a loss of connection, a loss of really knowing that if this were a real person, that this story I shared with you about this person who said these things, I think it was a bot. But if it was a real person, who does that? Like, who does that? Nobody would do that. And yet it's so common these days that people do feel they can do it. And it's because we are losing humanity. We're losing connection. So being able to have hands-on connection reminds us we're all humans. Like we're all real people. And, let's love each other a little bit more. Like it really matters.
I I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I love the idea of bringing healthcare back to the longer time frames. I mean, just look at the regular health system. I mean, it's 7-15 minutes on average, with your doc. And, looking at the whole day experience with you, it's a lot of people will be like, "Oh my God, that's a long day." But at the end of the day, you get like, guys, I can tell you, like, you feel so much different. It is so worth it. And I'd love to talk about one of the things that was so hard for me, and you're
Yeah,
gonna laugh because you know what I'm talking about, when I
I
was trying to
do. I
dance
know what you're
very
going to say,
slow,
I bet.
because I've had to work on it. And
Yeah.
and so, guys, she had me go through this. It was like 3 songs, so what was it, like 9 minutes or something? Um, and I'm gonna call it was 9 minutes of torture at first, because I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know how to do this." And so I am usually a pretty fast mover. Like, I need to move fast, and that's my brain, right? And so when someone tells me to slow down, and so I want you to explain. She told me to slow down and like move to how you're called to be moving. And like for me, slow down equals yoga. Like that's on my brain, yoga and stretch. This is fitness brain over here. And like I really don't even like I never was a dancer. Like I got kicked out of ballet because I was just not graceful. I was not like, my parents put me in ballet. They put me in all these dang things, and I was just like, I'm not graceful and I don't want to be. I don't. Like, I would be really great as like a backup like hip hop dancer because I can throw myself all over the place. But grace is not in, it's just not me, right? It's not me. I own it. So explain the experiment, because it was a true experiment, and I will have you know that I am working on it so much now. But explain the experiment that you put me through that was hilarious and so worth it in the end.
Oh, yes. I love that we're bringing this up. So I don't do it with everyone, but it's like my treatments are so unique to each individual. Like it's never the same thing twice because it's your body led. But I kind of had this sense based on some of the things Janine wanted to work on, like her goals and areas of the body that had some pain and discomfort, and also just knowing I just knew this about you, Janine. Like, I know you're an athletic woman, like you are, like you're a fast moving woman, like you're juggling a lot of things. I thought she needs to slow down and she needs her womb to lead the way. Like she needs to drop into her body and I'm going to make this a little uncomfortable for her because there is, again, we heal and we learn when our nervous system can finally feel safe and unwind and relax. And also, as long as we're not totally braced against it, it's also really helpful for us to push things a little bit by sometimes in a safe container, stretching ourselves, like stretching ourselves, stretching our comfort levels. If we push it too far, then we just brace and but I could tell this wasn't too far of a push for you. You were
I was
open.
really trying.
You did great. And I could tell you were like, this is a little awkward and a little uncomfortable. But what we did is we did slow movement to songs. Like they were kind of like, I think we kind of had some like sexy songs, but they were just like down tempo, like sensual movement songs. And I said, there's no choreography here. Like just let your body feel the music and your body leads the way. And then the only, rule, if you will, is to go 20% slower than you think you should go. And then we had her go 20% slower still. It's like slower and then even slower. And like I said, I could tell it was a little awkward for her and a little uncomfortable. And honestly, when I'm instructing this, I'm like, I'm not instructing, but I'm holding space for it. It's like watching, like, I want to give her space and her time to feel like she's private and doing her own thing. But I also want to make sure it's not pushing her too far. And I could tell it wasn't. Like you were just like kind of laughing with yourself a little bit. And I saw you over there doing like yoga stretches, like doing pigeon pose. And you would do it on one side and then you do the same pose on the other side because you got to be balanced. And I think I remember saying to you, Janine, I might misremember this, but I feel like I was like, you don't have to even be balanced. Like you could just do whatever you want to do. There's no like, we don't have to do yoga. Like you can, but you also don't have to. Like you could just be crazy and slow like a slug or a sloth broth or whatever. And getting like the light bulb coming on, I could see it. And then what I really loved is that you took it and you kept practicing at home. And I think you've gotten a lot out of it.
It's actually quite fun because you can feel like where there's more restriction in the body.
Right?
And like, guys, watching me do it is hilarious. I was literally like, I'm going to do some flow yoga because I don't know how to slow it down and I really don't know what to do right now. And
Right.
because I'm like the world's worst dancer unless I have alcohol, I was like, all right, well, we're doing yoga. Otherwise, it's the Elaine, and I knew that I couldn't go. I had to slow down, and the Elaine would look awkward. Yeah, it was like to be a fly on the wall that day. You guys would have been like dying. It was so funny. But yeah, now I'm feeling like where there's tension, and often I'll catch myself like right now. I'll be moving, and I'm still moving kind of fast compared to what you want. You know, like your mo for it. I found myself the other day. Those of you who are children of the 80s will remember this. The worm. I was walking the worm, like not fast breakdancing worm. I was down on the floor next to the dog and I was like, this worm motion feels kind of good. And
Yeah.
so I was like, can I flip myself up? So then I did a couple of those and then I was like, no, I like the worm slow. So anyway, for all of you guys, if you are bored ever and you're playing with your dog on the floor, you could do the worm. Try the worm.
I love it so much. And exactly what you said, like the going slow, the slower you go, the more you can feel. The slower you go, the more you can feel. And so that pertains to sometimes emotions. Sometimes people will do some slow, say, hip circles or something, and all of a sudden they'll start crying. You know, that's not uncommon. This happened to me. So feeling that, but also just feeling your body, like feeling, oh, this area feels really tight. How can I kind of like stretch more or like breathe more into that tight spot? And that is you becoming your own doctor, becoming your own chiropractor, becoming your own physical therapist, you know, really discovering your own areas in your body that you can access through just your breath and your motion. So the slower you go, the more you can feel it's powerful. And, you know, if you're taking it to dance, if you're kind of like feeling like, oh, I want to like do a dance to a slow song, I just think we all feel that we need to perform, even when we're by ourselves. Sometimes we can kind of go into performance mode. Again, we're just so used to external, like the external focus, focusing on what other people think and maybe people looking at us or whatever. But the more we can just drop performance and even close your eyes, that can be really helpful, is to close your eyes. So it kind of takes away that sensory, you know, some of the senses, so that you can really go inward and just dance slowly and not worry about how you look. It's really beautiful. I truly think everybody is graceful. Everybody is a dancer, you know, even
You know,
especially you, Janine. You're a beautiful dancer and a beautiful wormer.
I agree. You're right. You're right. My worm move was totally graceful. Like I can guarantee that that worm was like the gracefulest worm you've ever seen. And my hip circles, guys, just so you know, I found Dr. Bree on YouTube because of the hip circles.
Yeah.
Like the video popped up and I was like having back pain and I was like, oh shit, look at these circles. Okay, I'm gonna try this and I'm doing it right now. I like tell everybody about it. Get your inner hip circle on. Oh, it's the best thing. This guy, no joke, yesterday at my, no, 2 days, yesterday's Thursday, Wednesday at my office, told him, I said, you got to practice the hip circles. And so he's practicing and whatever. And he goes, uh, well, he's like, should I tell my wife that I need to practice these? I'm like, practice them with her. What's wrong with you? Practice them with her. Cause he's like all embarrassed that some girl told him to do hip circles. And I was like, get your wife to do them with you and it'll be just fine. He almost thought it was like wrong that I'm telling him to do hip circles. I'm like, if you tell your wife, it's not bad. Go do it together.
So funny. I mean, this just goes to show like how deep the shame goes in our culture. It's just so embedded that even talking or moving or God forbid touching the pelvic part of our body is just so taboo. And it's so fascinating to me. It's like, where did this start? I always say that, you know, silence speaks loudly. And we aren't taught about this part of our body. We aren't given rites of passage. Most young women, especially in our generation, Janine, certainly weren't celebrated when we had our first period. It wasn't like most of us weren't having moon parties and things like that. Most people now aren't. But I know that some more conscious mothers are doing that for their children. And it's so, so beautiful when girls can be celebrated and have this rite of passage when they start having their period, you know, but we haven't gone through that. And I think in past societies and past some cultures that are still around, but definitely more ancient times, at least it's said that there were more rites of passage for your initiation of coming into womanhood, and then even initiation into crondom or eldership when you go through menopause, like you're respected as an elder. And now it's like there aren't these rites of passages. And in fact, it's all just sort of silenced and hush hushed. And if we do talk about it, it's more complaining about it or like jokes about it. Or, thankfully now I think people are more starting to talk about hormones and hormone health and things like that. But it's still rather clinical and not like this sacred thing. And so, therefore, it's like taboo. We can't even do hip circles for heaven's sake. It's so fascinating without having it be sexual or like
Yeah.
bad or am I cheating on my wife right now because I'm doing hip circles with you? Like, goodness gracious, you know? Yeah.
I know. It's so wild. It's so wild. I want to talk about this Crone thing though. I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, that Kyla Cobbler, I think I showed you her, the Irish
Yes.
comedian. My
Yes.
God. You guys, if you haven't watched her, she's kind of foul with her language. You know what? We'll let her have it because you know what? She's funny as heck. And the
Yes.
Irish accent.
Yeah.
But she was talking about being a crone, right?
Yeah.
And sitting on the bus, and some guy gave her, the chair, and he was and the seat on the bus, and she was like, I have arrived at Chromedom.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like. There's the idea of being a MILF, and then there's the idea of the MILF of all the things that we have. Like, thank you, American Pie movie.
Right.
There's the MILF, and then of course the one was named Janine, which also seriously,
Oh,
yeah, the mom in American Pie had the name of Janine. That's awesome. And then second, the other big thing is like this whole idea of the cougar thing. And it's like, why did we have to turn it into something like that? Why can't we be like, you know what? I've lived on this earth a little bit longer. I got some wisdom, and like not only that, like you were saying, the resourcefulness, the inner insourcing, the really like embracing the idea that we're freaking powerful and amazing people.
yeah.
Like we can ride some waves and pull
Right.
down some moons.
Right. Right.
Let's You guys are doing like let's talk about what you guys are doing in Bend with the
Yeah.
Red Tent series and like all that, because like that kind of stuff makes me think about like Crone Dome. We're creating a Crone Dome. See, I've now turned it into like
Well, it's a crown. It's a crown.
yeah.
And I lived in Germany for 12 years with my family, and I did not become fluent in German, but Krone is like crown. So sorry if I'm saying that pronunciation incorrectly, but Krone, it's like it's crown. It's crown. And so I loved that because to me, crone is now, it is like putting on your crown. The maiden phase, we have maiden, mother, and crone. And the maiden phase is like exploration and curiosity and experimentation and whatever. And then the mother phase is not just necessarily birthing a child, but it's like it's power. It's like full bloom, full bloom of, in some cases, responsibility of things we're creating and ideas we're birthing, businesses. Oftentimes we're running a business, a household, maybe kids, maybe not. That's mother. And then once we stop menstruating, we move into our emerging wise woman and our crone phase. But again, crown, queen. It's like the queen. It's like I always think of it as like your lap is just getting wider and wider and wider. And I don't mean physically like you're getting necessarily your body shape is changing, but it's like what you can hold seems to get wider as you move from maiden to mother to crone. It's like you can hold so much because you know so much. And to me, I have so many great examples of elders, of crones in my community. I live in Bend, Oregon, and we have such a beautiful community here. I have this woman that I'm thinking of specifically who runs a women's drum circle, and there are anywhere between 50 to 70 people, women, at each drum circle, and she just holds this space so powerfully for us. She's so wise, and everyone just loves her so much. And I feel like she's just one example of, in one place in the world, but I think the more we learn to come back to some of these traditions like drumming, singing, dancing, connecting, actually learning from one another, not just dismissing the elders as somebody who doesn't get it. Like they don't get it. They don't get it. Like I know so much because I've been there. I, was 19 years old once and thought that about people who were older. It's like, they don't get it. I know so much. And it's like, wow, let's move past that because there's so much wisdom to be had from the elders. And we've lost some of those traditions, but we can get them back. And it just takes, putting yourself out there, putting yourself in groups that are respectful to all generations and brings people together. Again, that connection piece, it's huge.
So I love hearing about bringing the connections with the generations, and that's one of the things that, moving forward, whatever happens with my career, I want to see the younger generation, come in and have a connection to us older folks now, because you know what, like I was 19 once too and was like, I know everything and I'm cool, and okay, so that's nice. But I also had the side of me that I decided I want to be an acupuncturist at 15 because I saw how cool my mom's acupuncturist was. And he
Yeah.
had to been like, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 at that point. Um and like now he looks the same. I don't even know if he's like 105 or what, but like it's crazy, right? That the he was an older Asian man and I'm just like, "Oh my god, you didn't even age like one bit since I was 15." But the point is that I would love to see the younger generation come in and start to embrace it. And I'm starting to see, I'm seeing more of it. And I'm curious from you. And Ben, are you getting folks in their 20s? Are you getting folks coming in the group, or is it still more of the older?
It's more of the older, but we are getting younger. And you know what I think, as you were talking, I was like, I think what it takes for the elder to hold that space to allow all people to come to them is to have the strength and inner knowingness of their value and their visibility, to have that like acknowledgement and self-love and I guess, just that inner peace and inner strength within themselves to just know that they have value. I just remember that the people that bring groups to them in my community are strong people who know how wise they are, who own it. They own it. And it's not like they're bragging or something like that, but it's like they have presence when they walk into a room. And I know that my mother, she says that as she's gotten older, she's like, well, when you get older, you just become invisible. And I have really taken that to heart as a way of looking at the world that I don't agree with. I do not agree. I may change, like my appearance is going to change, and it already has. It will continue to change, but my presence does not need to change, and I will not be invisible. I will not. I won't, because I will hold myself. I will carry myself because I've done the work, the inner work to know my value, even if I look different as I get older, because I will. There's no way around it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And this is a great way to kind of bring this podcast home, because when we do work on ourselves, we can only grow.
Yeah.
There's it's an always a win. I find that the biggest wins I've had in life have been going on solo trips and going to explore. And one of the coolest things about the healing house and your experience is that your whole healing house is an experience of itself. So, guys, she has strategically placed little things around the entire house for you to subconsciously and consciously explore your own self. And meaning, like, there is this lovely, in the entrance or the living room area, if you will, there is a rug that is very comfy, but there's also one that is very like aesthetically, you can feel it. You can kind of do this kind of thing with it where you're like almost like just feeling the fabric of it. And having that space wide open without a couch is one of the most freeing spaces, because you can just do all kinds of fun things. And I was doing like handstands and feeling like, like just bending around, some back bends, things like that. And what I'm getting at is that not only that, but then exploring your different books. And then the rebounder.
Yeah.
She is the best rebounder in the whole world. I would jump on that thing and just play. And now you have the walkway out back. You
Barefoot.
have the
Yep.
barefoot path, and you have the cave
And
and
cave, and
the
I
amazing
we
view.
have the Yoni Cave. It's a beautiful we
I didn't
didn't
get
see
to get
no,
there.
we didn't see it. So next time, it is a bit of a hike up it's not far, but it's a steep walk up to this incredible slot in some room rock above our home that is so powerful. It's got this sense. You sit on this triangular shaped rock and you just, whoa, it's like you feel like you're in a different dimension. So we've got the Yoni Cave. I have my barefoot path. I have this fire pit out there where you can just let go, maybe burn something that you're ready to release. We have that. I have an inversion table that you can play with. I have a sauna, an infrared sauna. I have something called the Sound Lounge, which is vibroacoustic
Oh
therapy.
my God. I didn't even talk about that.
Yes. I mean, there's so many toys to play with that most people don't even get to half of them, but it's like this idea of you can do any of it, but you don't have to do any of it. And it's actually really good to let yourself be a little bit bored too. That's
Mhm.
actually okay. And to let yourself be sort of like there's no TV. I don't have a TV. Like Janine said, I don't have a couch. I mean, there's plenty of places to sit, but I don't have like a comfy couch that you just are going to kind of veg in. And because of that, I think it gives you the opportunity to do some handstands or do some back bends or just lay in child's pose or just lay on the floor and just be like, wow, for the first time in a long time, I'm just doing nothing. And that can feel uncomfortable, but it's also like showing you maybe where it's important to play in that space a little bit more.
Oh my gosh. I definitely laid there and did nothing. And it was the first time in a very long time. Oh my goodness. Bree, I could talk to you for hours, you know that. And we are gonna do another one of these probably sometime soon, guys, because there's gonna be more things that we have to talk about because there just is. The experience was quite an experience for me. I definitely know that I came out a different person, and all of you will be hearing about the new career change as it comes forward soon. I'm not ready to fully share everything, but it's coming. And the podcast will change a little bit too. Not you guys will still enjoy it. I have faith in that. But I want to leave folks with how they find you, where they can get a hold of the experience and how they can apply and see if it's a fit for them. And like how many days and give all the details so that they know exactly what's up.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So you can find me, just to caveat, I have a whole online presence called Vibrant Pelvic Health on YouTube, on Instagram, on a website, Vibrant Pelvic Health. That's a great place to find me. And it's really not what Janine and I have been talking about this whole time today. So if you're kind of turned on and lit up by what we've talked about today, that's all at Brianne Grogan, which is my name. Brianne Grogan, BrianneGrogan. And I have a website, briannegrogan.com. And then you can go to briannegrogan.com/experience. And that has information about the experience, which is my private retreat station that you can fill out that helps me get to know a little more about you. And once you fill it in, then we can go forward. If it seems like a good fit, we can go forward with a consultation call and then move forward from there, because every experience is completely customized. So depending on your needs, you might choose a 2-day experience where you're with me you arrive, and then there's 2 full days of care, and then you depart. So it's really 4 days, but 2 full 8-hour days of care, and then all that beautiful integration in between. I also have an opportunity for a 3 full days of care experience, so it's a bit longer. And then, I can modify and customize too. Like, I'm super approachable. It's just that's what I offer as packages, and happy to kind of explore what your needs are and how I can best support you. So I just had somebody do a 3 full days of care experience, so it was really 5 days, and I can tell you, she was so glad she did the longer one. She got so much out of it. So, yeah.
I've no doubt, like, changed my life, got me to finally, like, move into the direction that I really wanted to go to in life. And like you said, speak my truth and not be feeling suppressed because of fear of what someone might think and me being kicked out of the tribe. So I have nothing but amazing things to say about the experience, and I definitely did do a video for Brie. Yeah, guys, if you wanna chat with me about it, happy to chat with, you about it too and talk more.
And also, I want to say, if you're listening to this now and you obviously know Janine, put on your experience application that Janine sent you, and there's a little discount for folks who Janine sends my way. So say Janine sent me, and I'll give you a little deal. So, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brie, for coming on and chatting, and just, gosh, for coming up with the genius idea of the healing house and the whole experience. I know that you're going to help so many people, and it's going to create a momentum and help us with our cronehood. I know
Yeah.
this.
Yes. Thank you for giving me a place to share my passion on. So I love you so much, Janine. It's so fun to talk with you. We always have a great time.
We sure do. We sure do. Thanks, Brie. Hey, fellow health junkie, thanks for listening to the Health Fix podcast. If you enjoyed tuning in, please help support me to get the word out about the podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review, and just get that word out. Thanks again for listening.